Welcome back. Thousands of people gathered on the Mall this weekend to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. Joining us now with some reflections, a man who was at the 1995 event and at the gathering on Saturday, Doug Sloan. He's a member of the executive board of the DC NAACP. Welcome back. It's good to have you with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No one will compare the two events from a size perspective, but because the first one was historically large and amazing. What was the... So clearly Saturday's event recalled echoes of that incredible gathering back in '95.
Right, yeah, and it's really difficult to recreate such a monumental event. This event didn't have the same street buzz, it didn't have the same media attention, but all the same, and the message was different, the theme was different. The theme of the 1990 event focused on atonement, focused on black males taking responsibility for what they're doing, becoming better fathers, better husbands, better employees and role models, and had an internal focus of black males, men fixing themselves. This one was more of an external focus. This had a lot to do with the Black Lives Matter movement and disparate treatment of black males at the hands of police.
What were there themes in terms of the speeches and in terms of what you could sort of perceive as the energy that brought people to the gathering?
Yeah, well, and this was not just for black men. This was for men, for women, for Latinos. There was some Mexican people that spoke, Native Americans. They had a strong contingent there. So this was much more inclusive, not just in the crowd, but also on the podium. So we saw a much more inclusive event. Again, a lot of it was external focus, and a lot of focus also on the role that women play in the families and the importance of women in our lives.
How much did the '95 event impact? How much did that event impact you? I don't know that the '95 Million Man March had a precedent, certainly not a modern precedent. I covered it. I was blown away by the spirit that was present that day. What did it mean for you?
Well, I was in college in my early 20s. Middle of Generation X, and I remember that I had one class that day, and I think the professor of my second class had canceled the class because of the march, and I was in the community center. My major was public communications, and I remember waiting to talk to the professor and looking up. They have monitors all over the place because this is a communications center, and I remember seeing the crowds gathering and thinking to myself, this was after my first class, oh my God, I got to get over there. So I, raced across campus, jumped in my little 82 320i, whatever I was driving back then, and I mean, yeah, it was a great sense of brotherhood. It was a very warm, very enveloping. Everybody was shaking hands and hugging. And
strangers.
Yeah, strangers, yeah. And they came from all over the place. They were pouring out of the buses that were parked along Independence Avenue. They were pouring out of the metro. They were taking trains down from Philadelphia, from New York, up from Virginia, from all over the place. It was amazing. Something like that can't be duplicated. And it had a profound effect in that, they were speaking for something like 10 hours. And people were just standing paying attention. Go to the bathroom, come back and listen. We were really listening. So that really had a profound effect on me. I know many other people had a profound effect on just the brotherhood that was in the moment and, really listening and paying attention to, I have to take responsibility for myself.
Saturday's theme, justice or else. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think it was Tory Russell of the Hands Up, Don't Shoot movement that said, we demand justice or Ferguson could be the or else. And we see all the civil unrest in Ferguson. We really are dealing with a very difficult issue with disparate treatment of blacks at the hands of the police. And, it's something that we need to address head on. It's something that we need to address within our communities. But also, like I said, this is more of an external focus. So a lot of this has to do with proper training of police in terms of de-escalation techniques, in terms of, not immediately reaching for your weapon, but learning how to talk people down, learning how to communicate, which is the very foundation of our civilization is communication, and really learning how to deal with people within in the community. So, because we've seen a lot of horrific shootings that, I would say are unprecedented, but maybe not, because, it's really the advent of social media and everyone having a camera on their phone that is really showing us what's happening in the community.
The first Democratic presidential debate is tomorrow night. If we get 2 or 3 debates into the cycle, and this issue hasn't come up in a substantive way, your reaction will be what?
Oh, that's completely unacceptable. And I can't imagine on the Democratic side that the issue will not come forward. We've already seen members of the Black Lives Matter movement interrupt Bernie Sanders at one of his big rallies. Hillary Clinton has addressed the issue. Joe Biden, who's not a candidate, has mentioned it. He's not going to be at the debate tomorrow. But and all the candidates have had to address it on the Democratic side in one way or another. Perhaps with the exception of Jim Rep, who I haven't seen too much of. I haven't seen him address anything. But even Martin O'Malley had to address the issue. So I can't imagine, given that the vast majority of African Americans are registered Democrats, more so than any other group, it has to be addressed.
I literally have 20 seconds left. Was there a takeaway from Saturday that we haven't talked about yet?
It's an external focus. It really was more inclusive. It was a long speech by Louis Farrakhan for 2 hours. He talked about everything. So, we need to go back and look at the tape.
82 years old and going strong, apparently.
Going very strong.
Doug Sloan of the local NAACP DC chapter. Great having you with us as always. Thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
We are back with a News Talk program note after this.